the podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man.
There
My
you go.
pride.
All right, it is Thursday night. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Will Rock. We're going to be talking about your Detroit Lions tonight. Let's rock down Detroit Lions, just in case you didn't know. Appreciate it if you guys would like, share, and subscribe. Before we get going, helps us out, man. It helps out that stream, helps out that algorithm, which is ever-changing. And since I'm lazy, I need your help. I'm just kidding. No, but I am lazy today. I didn't even want to do this today, to be honest with you. Too much going on in the world of Will today, but there's so much to talk about. There's a lot flying around the interwebs. I came across well, there was a comment. So there was a comment. I checked out one of the comments in one of the videos, and it was saying, what's going on with Alex Anzalone going to Texas? And I responded like, I had no clue what you're talking about. Not a clue. Like, you know, elaborate. Never heard back. So about a half hour ago, when I finally got some downtime, I just looked up Anzalone in Texas, thinking Texans. And this thing pops up on Facebook where apparently Alex Anzalone is adopting a little boy now in Texas after the floods. And I'm like, how are these people just this insensitive to the player, to the organization, to the people in Texas, which, man, what a tragedy that is. So if that was your question, because I don't remember who asked it in the comment, that's what I found. I haven't heard anything about Alex Anzalone going to the Texans or any sort of a trade going to the Texans. Haven't heard that. I've heard plenty of other things, but I have not heard that. So anyway, if you see that flying around on Facebook, I mean, we know that AI is got some problems because people are not using it, you know, for the right purposes, I guess. They're using it just to kind of create clicks, which I think by now people are beginning to realize that a lot of that stuff out there is just garbage. There's actually some pretty good content out there. You just have to know who to trust. So anyway, good evening to everybody. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. And for the foreseeable future, I think that Thursdays are going to be fine. I'm going to be taking on a different opportunity here pretty soon, and I'm going to get even more busy. So we'll see how that goes. So I'd like to get some phone calls in tonight. We want to hear from you guys, and kind of get your ideas. Is the volume's low? That's not good. Shouldn't be. But I'll fix it one sec. Kind of get your ideas on. Oh, it's way low. You're right. Goodness gracious. Great Balls of Fire. Love that movie. Thank you for mentioning that. I want to get you guys' opinions tonight on where this season is going. So I'm going to open up phone lines at 8 p.m., which is in a short 21 minutes from now. You guys know the phone number. If you don't, I'll go ahead and pin it right now. Store it in your phone. It doesn't change. So hope you guys are having a good day, man. Heat wave in Michigan. It is not letting go. I mean, I know it gets in the mid 80s in Michigan, but it's just a different kind of heat this year. I swear. These Lions are about to be in camp, and this heat wave is not going to let go. So it's going to be a good camp, man. They're going to be able to drop some weight, get in shape, which they should already be in shape. But we know how football practice is, man. It's a different level under Dan Campbell. All right, no immediate crisis on my phone, so I can put that away for a moment. Countdown, as you guys can see, we've got 21 hours, 19 minutes, and looks to be about 16 seconds until the Hall of Fame game. And I'll be happy to announce that I did secure my front row tickets 2 days ago, so I will be back in the front row, still waiting on the credential. Hopefully that gets approved, because I'd much rather be behind the scenes than on the field for that. Get our first crack at the Detroit Lions. I'm sure all the other guys will be down there. It would be a fun opportunity. So let's just dive into tonight, man. I want to talk about Aiden Hutchinson. I want to talk about Alex Anzalone. And who else is on the list today? Who else is on our list today? Oh, Brian Branch. Can't forget about BB, man. Good stuff. Let's go back to forward, man. Let's back to front. So let's talk about the Detroit Lions corner DB room. We'll just go DB room. Are you guys really surprised that they're getting as much as, at least top 6 by PFF as a whole? Are you surprised at all that, the injuries, according to PFF, that derailed what could have been a very special season for us last year? It was still a very special season. I mean, getting a 1 seed, getting the NFC North wrapped up for a second year in a row. It's almost like we had the taste of the NFC North once, and that wasn't good enough last year, because nobody was happy about that. They weren't even happy about the 1 seed. They were just disappointed that we lost in that first game. I was ecstatic, man. Just more firsts for us. So that's my first question. How many more firsts will happen this year for the Detroit Lions? Are we going to win an NFC championship? Are we going to make it to the Super Bowl? Would you be okay? Let me know in the comments. If we make it, but we don't win, are you okay with that? 3 straight years of making it to the playoffs. First year, I think, was more successful than last year from a win perspective, but I still think that last year was more successful than the previous season. That's just how I look at it. So anyway, let me know in the comments below, obviously in the chat right now, if we make it to the Super Bowl and we lose, are you okay with that? All right, to continue on here, Brian Branch, as we know, he was listed as the number 2, number 3 best safety in the league last year, along with Kirby Joseph, who was ranked as the first best safety in the league. Obviously pulled down, 9 interceptions, I believe, last season, was the league leader for interceptions. And, just a phenomenal season by both of them. BB was banged up a little bit, suffered, a few injuries throughout the year. I think he had a cleanup surgery. Was it on his foot, I believe, this offseason? If memory serves me right, was it foot, or it was... I don't think it was the knee this year. I think last year was the knee, but I think he had a foot issue this year. But obviously ranking at the top of the league. And that should be no different than this year, right? But BB is number 1 over Kirby Joseph. How many of you were shocked when you saw the news that Brian Branch is getting ranked over Kirby? Do you agree? That's question number 2. Do you agree that Brian Branch is a better safety, ranking-wise, Kirby Joseph? Hey, look at that. Ahmed's father's in the house, Hassanin Mahdi. And it's Ahmed's birthday today, July 10th. And he said, by God, will he'll be married on Saturday in 2 days. So, wishing him blessings and a new married life and a successful career. And you know what? We are too. So thank you for sharing so much of the personal connection with you and your son. Future is bright for Ahmed. It's bright, especially when he has a wife on his hip. Keep him in line, right? Keep him in line. I'm excited to see Ahmed's future here in the short order. So anyway, Brian Branch being ranked above Kirby. And I wanted to look up the top 100. I thought a lot of it was started to be released. I don't know if they finished it because I just didn't have time to go through it. Let me see if it's done. Okay, here we go. Aiden Hutchinson, man, where are you at? This should have just been a full topic today. Aidan comes in at 15. We'll probably run this back tomorrow morning with the guys. Panay Sewell at 21, so that's 2. Max Crosby at 28 after Aidan. That's interesting. So what does that mean for his contract, right? Jahmyr Gibbs at 32, that's 3. I might have to just throw this up on the screen. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 58. That's 4. Kirby Joseph at 60. So in the top 100, Brian Branch is ranked at 65. So he's not ranked above Kirby here, but he is ranked above Kirby elsewhere. So thoughts on this? Man, how many guys have we got in the top 100? 7? 8? Looks like we got about 8 guys in the top 100. I mean, with a team that's loaded like that, you would think that we should be winning every football game. Dale says, making the Super Bowl would be great, but I'm trying not to put the cart before the horse. I agree, man. Like, we got to probably tamper our expectations a little bit. Brandy Coffee, take a look at the wall. You said you were missing some coffee sign. I'm pretty sure I put it back up there for you today. Thank you for sharing the jersey raffles, and thank you for reminding me that if you visit the Buy Me a Coffee /Rocked On website, which is what houses the Rocked On Cancer Foundation giveaways and raffles and places where you can donate if you feel so inclined. There's 4 jerseys up for raffle right now, and there's 1 up for sale, which is a Rocked On jersey. And then every 100 subscribers right now, we're going to be giving away training camp style. It's like a waterproof parka, short sleeve, quarter zip, Lions logo here, embroidered, and then Lions embroidered across the neck. Pretty sharp stuff, man. I like it. So we got about 15, 16 of those to give away. So every 100, so if you haven't subscribed, please do it now. You'll get an opportunity once we reach 9,200 subscribers. We'll be giving one of the jackets away. Let's see what else I can catch in the chat here. Jack2125 says, not the same position, really. Kirby plays deep more than Branch, who's down in the box more. Branch is great at this too, though. Yeah, I would agree. I think when you lump safeties in as a whole, like if you look at a safety group, yeah, there's two different styles of safety. Branch is a thumper, though. I mean, that dude just loves to mix it up. Kirby's more of that safety valve safety, right? And being that last bit of safety, if you will, over top, and that's just not what Brian Branch. It's not the position he's been covering. When we're in single high, that's when Kirby Joseph is out there in the back of the defense. So it is a different position. And Brian is down in, to your point, he is down in the box a little bit more. But I think when you lump them all together, and if you were to, I guess, score each one of their abilities. And you know, I haven't done this. I mean, put a box on, you know, coverage and run game and pursuit and mirror match and, you know, phase game. I mean, footwork, everything, right? Getting your hands on the football, you know, knocking passes away. I mean, there's so many different things you can evaluate these guys on. I think that's what they're looking at, is the overall safety. But I would agree that Kirby is definitely better over top than Brian Branch. 1,000%. He is. And I think they make a perfect pair, right? You got Brian that comes down and thumps everybody, takes care of everything over that intermediate route zone, and then Kirby takes, you know, everything over top. Both of them can fly. I mean, it's not like Kirby's slow. Or I'm sorry, it's not like Brian Branch is slow. I mean, he's not the fastest safety in the world, but I think his play speed is a lot better. But I think as an overall safety, I mean, you watch him in the pass game. If they do get a pass off on him, where does that wide receiver get to? And the answer is nowhere. Like, he has some of the lowest yak yards in the league, and that's because he's right where he needs to be when he needs to be there. And then he lays the boomstick, right? Hassanin says, Ahmed's 23 today. Man, what I wouldn't give to go back to being 23 years old. Well, that's a fun age, man. I'd make a lot of different decisions, I'll tell you that. I would have went straight into football, and not as a player, but as I would have got into coaching or something early. Okay, I'm still trying to go through some of the chat here. It's a little bit slow today. I don't know why. Okay, so tonight, I do want to highlight Aiden Hutchinson, and this is part of a video too, so you're going to get a little bit of a glimpse tonight of the video. He kind of had what I call awkward words or awkward responses. He was on a podcast with Ryan, was it Ryan Wilson the other day? CBS Sports, I believe. And he was asked a few things. One about his alma mater, U of M, and a couple of players coming out of that school this year. And then he was also asked, what was the other question he was asked? Oh my goodness. Oh, he was asked about Terry and Arnold. He gave a really good answer about Terry and Arnold. And I thought it was an answer that we needed to hear about Terry and Arnold, that, you know, how the support, you know, that Aiden is giving him. You know, Aiden's a leader on this team, and these guys look up to him. So I think it was really good at what we heard. But, man, his answers about U of M and a couple of players that were coming out of that school this year, not the greatest of answers. So, again, I'm not being the Aiden hater. I just thought it was kind of interesting, the answers that he gave. One would have thought maybe it would have been a different answer, but I'll bring that in here in just a few moments, and we'll discuss it. I won't be on forever tonight. So before we do that, coming up here in 7 minutes, I'd like to hear from you guys on what you think about Alex Anzalone, what you think about Brian Branch being ranked above Kirby, and Aiden Hutchinson, man. Bounce back year, defensive player of the year. I mean, where do you think he's going to end up? Is he going to be the comeback player, you know, of the year award? I mean, what exactly is he going to do? I'm hoping that he just hits an average of what he's done the first couple of seasons. I'd be happy with that. I don't want to see regression out of him, but I'm not saying that we need to see 20 sacks. I think sacks are meaningless. You guys know that. I think that sacks help in the situation, right? I'm not saying they're totally meaningless, but you know how I feel. TFLs are more important than sacks. I'd rather see these guys getting in on more plays than just a handful a year. You know, 15 sacks a year to me is less important than 25 TFLs. Let's put it that way. I'd rather see a guy have 25 TFLs than 15 sacks. So let me just bring in this video. I'm going to go a little bit past 8 o'clock. And then I'll take phone calls. Alex Anzalone, real quick. There's not much news here. There really isn't. Now, I've heard that people are speculating he's going to sign the day before training camp starts. Well, that means that there has to be a conversation, right? That also means that there has to be a number on the table. And like I reported the other day, that number, as rumored, 13 to 15 million that Alex Anzalone is looking to get paid. Excuse me there. How do you think the Lions are going to be able to afford that? We've gone over the scenarios. We've gone over... Oh, we've got no lights on. We've gone over a lot of the scenarios with the salary cap, and it just doesn't make any sense. There's just not enough money to go around. We were doing some of the salary cap live the other day, and Michael Garrity. No, I'm not. I'm not an Aiden hater. I'm just a realist. You know that. We were going over the salary cap the other day, and the numbers didn't add up, man. They don't. It's going to be extremely hard for them to get everything done. Oh, light's not plugged in. Go figure. I can't see the Lions paying a 30-year-old linebacker $15 million a year. I just don't see it. I really don't. And I'm not saying that Alex isn't a good football player, because he is. And I don't want to see him not on the team this year. But I haven't heard of any trades. I haven't heard of, anything going negative. I don't even know where the Texas thing came from. It's got to be high speculation, but it's not something that I would put my eggs in. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. Anything can happen. I mean, it's the NFL. Tomorrow morning, I do want to get into the collusion. If you guys remember, a couple of months ago, I started talking about the collusion in the NFL. And wow, huge bombshell just hit yesterday, that the NFL was in fact involved in a lot of collusion when it came to contracts in the NFL. I saw it. I saw it years ago. You could tell that, with running backs, it was happening. They were intentionally trying not to pay these players. So it's no surprise to me that it was happening with other positions as well. No surprise at all. It's just really unfortunate, right? But I get it. They have to be able to maintain and keep, players paid. And I mean, at the end of the day, the players just go unpaid and they don't play. If you can't afford to pay them, you can't afford to pay them. I mean, it's that simple. All right, Aiden Hutchinson's up next. Let's bring him in. This is about a 15-minute podcast, but I'm going to chunk it up, break it up. And I don't know, the last 4 or 5 minutes or so are him doing State Farm stuff that we won't worry about. But he is working with State Farm again this year. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool, the opportunities he's getting. All right, here we go. Aiden Hutchinson, Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports. Sorry, it's not showing for me. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I'm not sure why it's. Not sure why it's not. It's playing, but the audio is not playing. Not sure why it's. Give me 1 sec here. Wasn't doing this earlier. I know there were some changes made. So like Netflix, I was trying to clip up some of the Netflix and do some videos. And Netflix legit doesn't even allow you to record anything at all. So I was recording everything, you know, like screen recording, taking, you know, images of things. And then I went back to watch it and it was just a black screen. No, nothing. So I'm wondering if somehow this is doing the same thing. 1 sec.
We're joined by Lions edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, who joins us on behalf of State Farm. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But Aiden, let's start here. You told the media back in May that you're fully cleared for football activities this summer. So how close are you to where you were, say, last summer at this time in terms of ramping up for training camp and the start of the season?
Yeah, you know, I'm exactly where I need to be.
Go.
And every year I've been able to improve on my own physical attributes along with the mental ones. So I feel like every year I take a step, and despite having that rehab this offseason, I feel like I'm in the perfect spot and exactly where I need to be going into year 4.
Yeah, we're watching clips of you working out here on the old social media machine. And this is probably dating myself. You look like the Bionic Man with your leg sleeve on there and looking like you're going 110%. It's funny, the answer you gave me reminded me, and you won't remember this. If you do, I'll send you $5. But you and I talked back at the NFL Combine in 2022, and we talked a lot about the perception of Aiden Hutchinson, especially versus Travon Walker, because at the time the conversation about Travon was he's barely scratched the surface. And the counter was, well, maybe Aiden's reached his ceiling. And I want to play a clip for you from that interview back 3 years ago and see if this jogs your memory. I want to ask you a question when we get back on the other side of this.
Oh, I love
People
that.
say, not me, because I love you. You're my one of my favorite players in this draft class. But people say, well, maybe we've seen the ceiling for Aiden Hutchinson. Why would someone think that this is a ceiling when you've made so much progress over the last 2-3 years?
I think that is the dumbest question I ever heard in my life. You know, I feel I'm 21 years old, and you know, I feel like I get so much better every single year. I feel like for my potential, I'm at about 30 or 40%.
Right.
And once I get to the NFL, I mean, once I get more knowledge, and I mean, there is so much more. I understand there's so much more to learn in the league at the next level. I mean, I'm going to make a lot more strides. And I mean, if they think this is 100%, I mean, they got something coming.
Hold on, he straight up said that is the dumbest question I've ever heard. I'm sorry, I couldn't contain myself because earlier when I heard it, I just couldn't stop laughing because it was classic Aiden. Like he never talks like that anymore. But early in his career, man, he was just so gung ho and I mean full of himself in a good way, right? So it was hilarious to see the original Aiden. Nowadays, that's not Aiden. Let's see his reaction. Look at his face. Let's see his reaction to this answer. Hold on, here we go.
What do you think about that?
Bro, I do not remember that at all, but that's so awesome. It's just me authentically answering the question, but I still believe it. I can't believe I put a percentage on it back then. I did like 30, 40%, but I feel like right now I'm at like, I don't know. I think if you think of my entire potential, there's still more to go. You know, there's still things to learn. And, you know, I always believe that about myself, and people, you know, like to put that mark on me coming out of the draft of being a high floor, low ceiling. But I think I proved that there is, there's a lot more to come than every single year. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to year 4 and continuing to go up in my percentages for a
All right, so I'm pausing it here because if you guys remember back when, right, when Aiden's coming out of the draft into the NFL, and you heard exactly what he said, that, you know, analysts were saying, well, we just seen, you know, was it 19 sacks Aiden had in his final year at Michigan? Is this a guy that's going to enter the NFL and he's going to be this, you know, high floor, low ceiling, meaning we've already seen the majority of what we're going to see out of Aiden. And that term, like, you know, when they say that, it means there's not going to be much growth potential for Aiden over the next, you know, 3-4 years. But what we see in the next year or two is probably going to be it. So I never thought that. I thought the exact opposite for Aiden. I mean, yeah, we saw a lot of sacks, but throw the stats in the trash. They mean nothing in college. The growth that Aiden has had year after year after year, his first year was not good. Like, I don't care about the numbers. The numbers that are, hold on, excuse me. Gotta love allergies. The numbers that are not reported, unless you dig for them like I do, and that's why people call me a Hutch hater, because I go and dig for stats, and then I come up with all these crazy stats that no one looks at, no one talks about, the real numbers within the numbers, is Aiden let up over 700 rushing yards out of what I would consider to have been his assignment to Jalen Hurts, to Justin Fields, and other quarterbacks his rookie season. And a handful of running backs. Pollard comes to mind. That was a bad game. So those are the numbers no one looks at, right? So I felt like where he started as a rookie and where he is now, head and shoulders above his rookie season. We have watched Aiden transform his game, and he's transformed into a patient defensive end with a high motor, and I know that makes no sense to a lot of people, but while he's working that edge and he's working that tackle and he's working his details and he's getting after the quarterback, he's also displaying a bit of patience and making sure that he doesn't, you know, let up a big play. I've seen that growth out of Aiden over the last, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, whatever it's been, since 2023. It wasn't just 24, 2023 included. So there's a lot more to see from Aiden, you know, and last year would have probably have been his best season to date, you know, numbers wise, but growth wise, I think it would have been his best season too. So Aiden is nowhere near where he's going to end up being. I have faith in that. Let's keep on going.
Yeah, I'm glad I found that clip because I remember you being, you know, as much as you can be pretty fired up, because I would imagine you probably gotten that question a lot at that point. And through 6 games last season before you got hurt, you were the best defensive player in the NFL, and it wasn't even close. You had 45 pressures, and I think that, I looked it up, 11 more than the next closest guy through the first month and a half of the season. So you might have undersold yourself in terms of those percentages. If there was something you could have told, go back right now and tell 2022 NFL Combine Aiden Hutchinson just about the preparation that you might, or the experiences through the draft process, and maybe even a hint or two about how to deal with the NFL now that you know what you know, 3 going on 4 years in here, what would those things be?
That's a great question. I feel like I have learned so much and grown so much mentally, and it wasn't very easy a lot of the times. And it definitely, you know, you go through this maturity and this evolution throughout your career, and still I'm only going in year.
What was that word? Evolution. You guys saw it in the opening, the intro that I put together. That was my word of 2023. I'm sorry, of 2020. Yeah, 2024, excuse me, was evolution. And this year it's against all odds. But anyway, we keep going.
I know there's still going to be more things to learn, but I think in these first few years, I have, you know, when there's a big play that needs to be made, when, you know, the clock is ticking and somebody needs to make a play, I feel like now more than ever, I embrace that. Whereas, you know, I didn't quite embrace it as much as I do now. You know, my rookie year, I didn't really understand. It's hard. You know, you're a first rounder. People kind of expect the world out of you, and you kind of have to grow into that role of being the guy. And yeah, now we're here, full force, ready to go.
Okay, full stop. You guys know me very well by now that what he just said is who I've been. He's a first-round draft pick. He's number 2 overall. There's an expected halo, of expectations over his head, right? It happens with every player drafted in the top 5, maybe top 10 in the NFL. You just expect them to be game wreckers in whatever position that they are. It is largely a false statement in their rookie year. Maybe a handful of guys throughout the entire draft in all rounds end up being just complete game wreckers their first season. What he said is exactly right. It takes time, right? It takes time to develop. So that's why I've been a little bit more critical with Aiden, because yes, I expect it. I expect him to be at a certain level, but I'm also, pointing out the things that I'm hoping that he's going to get better at. And he has. At every point along his career, he has gotten better at just about anything that I pointed out was a negative in a game. And maybe the next game he doesn't have that same fault or make that same mistake. That's growth. And that's what we're seeing out of Aiden Hutchinson. And I think that this year there's going to be another turning point for him, but I'm going to put out a little bit of caution. He's coming off a major injury. And if you notice the first question he was asked, his readiness for this year, after all of the rehab, he never answered the question. He says, I'm right where I need to be. We don't know what that is. We don't know what the trainers have him ready to do right now. And we don't know where he's going to be until we get to training camp and we actually can see him and get some reports, from some other people that say, hey, he's doing just fine. So huge growth year for Aiden. His best year, I think, is incoming. Not this season, but next year, I think, is going to be his best year, honestly. I think he's still going to have a damn good year this year, though. Let's keep rolling.
It's funny you say that. By the way, you wouldn't know this, but you're the second person from the Lions organization to be on this podcast. Last summer, we had Chris Spielman on because I work with Chris's brother, Rick. Okay. And I remember talking to Chris about this. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between you and Chris. Obviously, he played linebacker. He went to the school to the north. That's another conversation. But in terms of the way you approach the game, what are some of the things that you've learned from Dan and Brad, Holmes, the GM, and Chris in terms of the culture change that's happened in Detroit? Because the year before you got there, you guys won 3 games, and you guys have had winning records in the years since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Brad, Dan, Chris, all those guys, what they've focused on in the draft is finding guys who want to compete and they want to get better. And I think if you look at all our draft classes and you go turn on the tape and watch our practice, you watch me, Panay, on that offensive line, it's a battle every single day. And it's really just a competition for who wins the day. And that's how it always is. And if you have that, you get constant growth and constant progression on your team. And, we find ourselves in a position right now to be contending. And that's ultimately where every team wants to be.
So last year you guys took Terrion Arnold in the first round, and Chris's brother Rick used to work with Alabama. He'd go down there and talk to the players and give them some insights about what they needed to do leading up to the draft. And Terrion, it was one of the most charismatic persons I've talked to in a while, but he and Rick were very close, in part because Rick told him the truth about what Terrion needed to do, and there were some tough conversations. And I say that with the follow-up of how is Terrion in the secondary, because he feels like he would flap his gums a little bit. And then I want to ask you about this year's first-round pick, Tyleik Williams, and how the importance he's going to be as a defensive lineman lining up next to you on that defense.
Yeah, Terrion and Tyleik are probably 2 of the most different people you ever meet in your life. Terrion, he's very extrovert.
Hold on, pause. I'll rewind it just for a brief second here. Did you guys notice what Ryan Wilson just mentioned? That Rick Spielman was in Terrion's ear well before the Lions even drafted him, and telling him what to do, to be able to make it to the NFL with, maybe a little bit more experience behind him, making the right improvements from year to year, getting better at his craft. I found that interesting. It wasn't Chris Spielman. It was Chris Spielman's brother that was in Terrion's ear well before the Lions drafted him. So it kind of makes you think, like, for a moment, was Rick, kind of giving the Lions information about Terrion. I'm sure that Terrion Arnold was already on Brad's radar for years, but maybe giving him a little bit more information to make drafting him that much easier. It's good thought, right? But anyway, let's listen to what Aiden Hutchinson has to say about Terrion Arnold having a big season this year and the trust that has already been built up.
No, yeah, Terrion, yeah, he's very extroverted, I'll call him. He's out there. He's willing to tell you what's on his mind, and he's not afraid to do it. But I think Terrion understands what's going to be asked of him, and he's this year and then in the coming years. I think he's always been a player that's ready for the challenge, and he has my full trust in this season and how it goes and how he plays. I think we're all behind Terrion because he's such a talented player. And then Tyleek is, a younger guy, quieter dude, but.
Okay, stop for there for just a brief moment. They're all behind Terrion. They know how talented of a player he is and what's going to be asked of him. I think it's pretty simple. I mean, Terrion Arnold is now the number 2 on this team until he beats out DJ Reed, which I don't care if he does. Does that make sense? I care if he does because he was a first-round draft pick, and that's what a lot of people are going to get hung up on is, well, we took Terrion in the first round. We could have had an edge rusher, right? That's what someone's going to say. I guarantee it. If Terrion is in a top 20 corner this year for some reason. But when you think about it, we already have a number 1. We have DJ Reed. So why does Terrion Arnold have to be a number 1? He doesn't. Why does he have to guard the number 1 receivers? He doesn't. If DJ Reed can lock him down like he has been, and you got Terrion Arnold as your number 2, locking down the number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, I'd take that all day. That's exactly what you want to see happening, that you have so much talent at the position that the guys that you brought in to be the number 1 don't even have to be the number 1. But they already are a damn good football player, and they're going to be able to shut down the other players that they take up assignments with throughout the season. So I think Terrion's he's gonna rise at the rate that he needs to rise, but there's no pressure on him now with DJ Reed in the mix and with Amik in the mix. I think Amik is gonna be on fire this year. That guy, he wants it so bad. I'm really rooting for Amik. I'm getting Amik Robertson jersey this year to support him because I love everything he's about, and I got a new T-shirt coming out just for him tomorrow. So I'll let you guys all know when that comes out. It's pretty cool.
He's ready to work.
Talking about Tyleek.
Unfortunately, he's a Buckeye, but I have to look past that. Unfortunately, I mean, yeah, it's a little tough, but it is what it is. But he's been great. He's been great. He hasn't really done too much of OTAs, so haven't been able to see much of what he can do on the football field. But we'll see in a couple of weeks. That's for sure.
Would you ever congratulate Tyleek for the national title? That would never cross your lips.
No, I mean, I've always he went 4 years at Ohio State without beating Michigan, so I've already let him know that. So I'll never acknowledge that national championship though.
Do you have a relationship with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, the two?
All right, I'm going to pause it here. I'll rewind it 5 seconds. This next part, this is what I was saying that I felt was a little bit awkward about Aiden. I'm going to play it. You guys will hear it. I'll rewind it. We'll talk about it. We'll play it again. Tell me if I'm just way out in left field on this. Here we go.
Do you have a relationship with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, the two Michigan defensive tackles who were drafted this year? And if so, have they come to you or have you offered anything in the way of advice of what they might look forward to as they try to make that transition?
You know, we just missed our time together at Michigan. I don't know if Mason was that. I'm pretty sure he wasn't. I think we just missed the overlap between each other. But I think I shot both of them a text, or I meant to shot both of them a text at least. The intention was there. I don't know. I think I did Mason. I don't know if I did Kenneth. I got to check my phone though. But no, they both had a hell of a year, and I'm rooting for them. But I haven't had that much contact with them.
No, I get it, and this can be. This will serve as the text to them. We'll make sure they see it on there.
Okay, am I out in left field on this one, or was that really awkward for Aiden? And the reason why I say that is, most guys that come out of the NC2A, especially U of M, they stay involved with their alma mater. He lives right down the road, right? I mean, he's probably no more than a 20-minute drive from Ann Arbor. And it just seems like he's disconnected from U of M for whatever reason. Did he not go to a game last year or the year before? I mean, last year I could get it, he was injured, right? But did he not go to a game the year before? It seemed like he was disconnected, because if he would have been there, if he would have been there supporting U of M, you would have thought that at some point he would have developed some sort of a relationship with the guys, on the defensive line. Maybe I'm out in left field on this, but that seemed like a pretty awkward exchange. And maybe Aiden's kind of, I don't know if he felt like embarrassed, that he didn't have a great answer. And I don't know, maybe Ryan Wilson probably shouldn't ask them that question. I don't know. I'll replay it. You guys tell me if this was awkward and if I'm just out in left field here.
At the two Michigan defensive tackles who were drafted this year, and if so, have they come to you, or have you offered anything in the way of advice of what they might look forward to as they try to make that transition?
We just missed our time together at Michigan. I don't know if Mason was that. I'm pretty sure he wasn't. I think we just missed the overlap between each other. But I think I shot both of them a text, or I meant to shot both of them a text at least. The intention was there. I don't know. I think I did Mason. I don't know if I did Kenneth. I got to check my phone though. But no, they both had a hell of a year, and I'm rooting for them. But I haven't had that much contact with them.
No, I get it.
Okay, so it's that last part. I haven't had that much contact with them, which would be for the rest of the team too. It wouldn't be just those two guys, right? I picked it up as a little awkward. I thought that maybe Aiden was a little bit more, ingrained into the U of M culture and just being, part of that school, and it's his alma mater. I mean, he's right down the road. That's just how I think though. And I'm sure it's absolutely nothing. I'm hoping it's absolutely nothing. Hope there's not a disconnect for any reason, because he's a big part of that school. But anyway, moving forward here. I think this is going to wrap it up in just a moment. We're going to talk about losing the coordinators, the rookie talent show, and then we'll be done with this in about 3 minutes.
And this can be, this will serve as the text to them. We'll make sure they see it on their socials. I know it's not your job to make Lions fans feel better, but one of the, if there are any concerns, is that you lost both your coordinators to head coaching jobs. That's how good you guys have been, obviously. I'll just ask you, why do you feel so good about this Lions 2025 team, despite the fact that Ben Johnson and AG are gone to coach their respective teams?
Yeah, I mean, AG and Ben, they did a great job, and they were really, really amazing for us these past few years. But at the end of the day, majority of our team is still intact for all the kind of cornerstone pieces, and ultimately that's the most important part. As long as you're keeping your key pieces on both sides of the ball, that's really all that matters. So I'm excited to have we call him Coach Shep, but John Morton to be the OC. I'm sure they're going to do a great job, and as long as they put us players in positions to make plays, that's all that matters. As players, we just got to make them.
Yeah, and you've been doing that, and then some.
So great answer here. Same thing that I've been talking about since day one, when we expected to lose both of those guys. We're bringing back the whole team, man. Like, they did a great job at bringing everybody back, and of course, like Aiden said, keeping the star guys, right? Your star players, the core group on both sides of the football, and how important that was to walk into this season to be prepared. But I think that they're a leg up over most teams in the NFL on the depth chart. I think our depth chart is better than anybody else in the league. I mean, I'll debate anybody about it. When everyone is healthy on this team, I don't think there's a better depth chart in the league than what resides for the Detroit Lions.
One last thing before we get to State Farm, and this is not me, because I'm an old head and I don't care about these sorts of things, but producer Stryker thinks this is important. You talk about being incredibly competitive. So he would like to go back to your rookie season and your rookie performance. You started off kind of slow and then you crushed it. Were you legit nervous when you sort of started?
Oh, I was so nervous. It was probably one of the most nerve-wracking of my rookie year. More nerve-wracking than more things than I admit. More nerve-wracking than the fall camp than ever. I was so I knew Hard Knocks was on. I knew people, millions of people were going to be watching, and I told myself I would not get booed, and I went up there and
you crushed it.
Ended up getting a couple claps, and
look at this, they're going crazy.
Yeah, no, I know that clip will forever just put a smile on my face.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Was there an extra amount of nerves because Eminem was in the back, or did you not know that?
Well, no, actually, Eminem came after the fact. Fun fact: in that Hard Knocks episode, he came like a couple episodes later, and I missed one day in camp that year because I got sick, and it was the day Eminem was in the building, and I was sick to my stomach. I mean, I was actually sick to my stomach, literally and metaphorically. But yeah, that was a sad day for me. You get that acknowledgement from him saying like, "Oh yeah, Hutch did Billie Jean in here," like that was crazy. I didn't even know he knew who I was. It was awesome.
He's a Detroit guy through and through. Of course he knows who Aiden Hutchinson is. All right, let's have some fun real quick here, Aiden, before you go. One of your nicknames is Hutch.
All right, you guys can check out the rest of that. There's about 5 or 6 minutes left where he's going to go through a game with Aiden Hutchinson, ranking 1 through 5, some hutches, like you put dishes on, you put your prized, dishes and stuff like that. And then they talk about State Farm for a moment. But anyway, the last segment there, I couldn't stop laughing. I was crying watching Aiden. If I learned something from that video, again, this many years later, it's all I have to do is swing my arm and bunny hop, and that's dancing. I'm good. I can do that. I can do the Aiden. I got that. So that's what I just learned. All he did is bunny hop the whole time. So I'm good, man. I love it. This is a good segment for Aiden, man. I think he's gonna have a good season. I'm a little concerned, like I said the other day, because I haven't seen him, but I think that's all gonna be put away here soon. I'm gonna open up the phone lines. I'd like to know what you guys think about Aiden. Obviously, if you've got anything you want to say about Alex Anzalone and Brian Branch and his ranking over Kirby, at least by PFF and others. Phone number should be at the top of the screen still. So I'll leave phone lines open for, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And then I'm going to jump off here, maybe in 30 minutes or less. Just like Domino's used to be, 30 minutes or less. Just like Domino's used to be. Give me 1 second to kind of get set up here. Okay, Aiden. Again, I'm probably way out in left field on the whole, alma mater thing being an issue. Probably isn't. There was a good message in the chat, too, that, he's laser focused on getting ready for the season. That makes sense, for last year. But what about the year before would have been my question. Anyway, good segment by Ryan Wilson, and I can't wait to see more of Aiden here. Man, what are we? Like 5, 6, 7 days away? I know we can't be there, but I think that they open up camp here just in a few days, like in a week. Or maybe they scratch that. I'll figure it out tonight. We'll talk about it in the morning. I don't have my dates in front of me. I'm a mess without my calendar. All right, so what's up in the chat? What do you guys want to talk about next? Nick P says another crazy PFF take that rated Kirby the best safety last year, but then gave him a 6. I'm sorry, put him at 6, and a guy on his team is ahead. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, Nick, that they did the same thing with Aiden. Aiden's been ranked, in the high in the 90s every season. And he's the 7th best defensive end right now. Now that I could agree with maybe the 5th. I don't think that 7 is extremely outlandish, but there's a few guys ahead of him because of experience, time in the game, and consistency, right? And missing your 3rd season, I think it's going to drop him down a few rungs. Let's see what we got for headlines. See what they're talking about out there tonight. See if anything's dropped. Another Detroit Lions training video. I missed this. What's this all about? Let's take a look. Looks like we got enough. Did you guys see this yet? I missed it. Watch it real quick and then see if it's anything worthy. All right, Hutch is yeah, we're gonna have to share this. Hutch has put on some weight. He's looking better. One second, I'll bring it right in. All right, here we go. Check out your screen. Now I can probably make that bigger, huh? So I'm gonna, oh, that's not what I was trying to do, but anyway, there we go. You can see as he's walking towards the screen right now, man, his arms, he's a little bloated. His chest is a little small for a defensive end, but he needs to hit those, bench, man. Incline, decline bench. Come on, Hutch. But he's definitely put some weight on those arms. He's running nice and smooth now. He's got that sleeve off his leg. That leg still looks a little bit smaller to me. What do you guys think? One more time. Yeah, that left leg still looks a little bit smaller, but man, he looks in great shape. He looks in great shape. No need to have any real concerns right now. What else did I miss today? So going back to the Lions safety duo, right? There's a headline here that by Matt Sidney saying that the Lions safety duo just pulled off something no other team could. I didn't see this earlier, but he says, for all the noise around Detroit's offense last season, the real headline this year might come from the other side of the football. It's exactly what I said yesterday morning and Monday morning, is that I'm expecting the defense is going to have to step up big time this year, partly because, yeah, we lost Ben, but I don't think that's going to slow down the offense. We might stumble out of the gate a little bit, but I think that we're going to be able to catch teams off guard on the offense because we're going to be dialing up different plays, different cadence, different rhythm. It's going to take, 4, 5, 6 weeks of tape, for teams to kind of figure out what the Lions are doing. And even when they know, you still got to stop them. So I would agree that I believe the defense is going to be a much bigger part of the team this year. Not that they haven't been in the past, because they've been shutting down the run. They've been playing pretty well. But the article goes on to say that this list, it didn't come from a free agent signing or a flashy trade. It came from a list compiled by NFL coaches, scouts, and executives. This goes on to talk about the kind of thing that doesn't always make, the airwaves in July, but reveals exactly what the league really thinks. Now, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, his annual top 10 positional ranking dropped this week. And that's where the Lions landed 2 safeties in the top 5. So, again, going back to the Brian Branch stuff, I'm not surprised. But Brian Branch checked in at number 2 overall, and Kirby was number 5 on this list. That part of it baffled me a little bit. That Kyle Hamilton, hold on, only trailer yet. That Kyle Hamilton was at number 1. That baffles. Let me just pull up the list here. Okay. So this is the ESPN ranking here. This should be Fowler's list. Kyle Hamilton at number 1, and he got the highest ranking. He's 24 years old. Last year's ranking was 2. This one, again, it baffles me because McDuffie was on this list last year. McDuffie was one of the best, in the league last season. He was neck and neck with Kirby all season. How does this flip? Like, how does Kyle Hamilton move ahead of not only, Kirby, but BB? Because Kirby and BB, they were 1 and 2 last year. I mean, they were the 2 best safeties in the league, hands down. But McDuffie also made it pretty close. Brian Branch at number 2. Let's look at what he said. Lowest ranking, hasn't been ranked. Honorable mention last year. Branch entered the elite in 2024 with 4 interceptions and 16 pass deflections. The latter ranking tops among safeties with 16 PBUs. 21.1% ball hawking rate is the second best among safeties with 50 or more targets. It's pretty good. The quote is, I love Branch due to instincts and versatility. He's been asked to do a lot in 2 years in Detroit, and he's handled it all. And he comes in, he plays nickel, right? He comes in, he plays nickel. I mean, just swimmingly. I mean, the guy performed at such a high level. And then to transition back to what they thought was going to be a natural position at safety, again, he performed amazing last season. His 3rd season, Brian Branch is going to prove why he's going to be the highest paid safety in the league in 2026. The only knock on him, according to multiple scouts, say he's elite in passing concept recognition, which allows him to be around the ball despite lack of top-end speed. It's exactly what I said earlier. But the quote is, the one knock on him coming out of Alabama was coverage, but he's proved all of that wrong. He's been excellent, very instinctive. He was good at nickel, but has more range than that. Perfect take. I'm sorry, did I say McDuffie? I meant McKinney. My bad. McKinney. Last season. McKinney's in here at 3. Jesse Bates at number 4. And then our boy Kirby at number 5. That locker room's going to be fun this year, man. Having so many high-ranked guys, these guys cashing big checks, having some fun with a lot of really good football players around them. I'll never understand why I hear people complain what Brad Holmes has done. I'll never understand it. When you look around this offense and defense for the Detroit Lions, my God, we have such a wealth of riches for football players. In the depth chart, like I said earlier, it's the best in the league. The other day I mentioned again that Brad is in the first round. He's never double dipped in the first round for the same position. He's literally plucked what? Let's see, we had 2, 4. So we had 2, 4, 6, 7? We have 7 first round draft picks already. Let me just pull it up now. Hold on. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 first round draft picks. We went offensive tackle, wide receiver, defensive end, linebacker, running back, corner, and defensive tackle. We have never taken the same position twice. That's strategic in nature by itself, that Brad Holmes is making sure that he is planting elite football players all over the field. Matter of fact, if we were to break it down, so that's 1 on the defensive line this year, corner last year, running back the year before, linebacker, so that's 3 on the defense, 1 on the offense. Aiden makes number 4 for defense, and then Jamo and Panay, so that's 3 offense, 4 defense in the last 4 drafts, all in the first round. That's pretty good. I mean, so that would probably tell me that we're probably going to go back to the offense next year. Or if Aiden gets his extension next year, we'll probably go back to the defense, just assuming, the way that Brad is drafted. Let's see what they say about Kirby. I haven't seen my phone ring. I guess no one wants to call in. That's okay. Last summer, the top 10 received a call from someone close to Joseph inquiring about why he did not receive a single vote in the 2024 safety pool. 12 months later, he's a top 5 safety and the highest paid safety at his position after signing a 4-year, $86 million contract extension in April. Big contract, by the way, very low, very, very low guarantee. His ball production is what sets him apart. Opposing quarterbacks had a 29.2 passer rating when targeting Joseph, who led the NFL this past season with 9 interceptions and a 36.4% ball hawking rate, led all safeties who were targeted more than 30 times. As a rookie in 2022, Joseph was thrust into the starting lineup due to injury. Since then, he has broken up 31 passes and produced 17 interceptions, the most in the NFL during that span. Here's a quote by an NFC scout where he says, he has the stuff that you can't teach as far as chance taking that helps create turnovers but doesn't hurt the framework of the defense. He's good at taking calculated risk. You've got to give him credit. He's worked hard for his opportunity. The scout also noted that Joseph has also played wide receiver in high school, which adds to his instinctual play. Spot on, man. Spot on. I think that we got really lucky, and I'm glad that we didn't trade Kirby. You guys know how I felt about that too. Like, I thought if there was going to be one player casualty, it would have been Kirby, because we had BB. So I'm hoping that we don't have any casualties next year in free agency. Yeah, exactly, Nick. It doesn't make any sense. So Nick P again says in the chat that the fact that Kirby and McKinney play similar and Kirby was more productive but gets ranked behind him. So let's go look at McKinney for just a moment. Oh, figures. 36.7% ball hawking rate. 36 here. Let me dump this into the chat in case you guys haven't seen it. Where is my chat? All right, here we go. Let me dump this into the chat so you guys can check it out later. So 36.7% ball hawking rate for McKinney. He had 11 breakups and exactly 30 targets. And how that compares to Kirby, you're talking 0.3% difference. 0.3% difference. 36.4 for Kirby, who had 9 interceptions, somehow ranks worse than McKinney. How does it make sense? It doesn't. It really doesn't. And even Jesse Bates. You know, Jesse Bates he's a hell of a football player. He's probably one of the better hitters, you know, as a safety, but I don't see any of his stats in this ranking. So that makes me, you know, beg the question that his stats probably weren't the greatest or they didn't even compare. But that's just me thinking that until I actually take a look, which I'm not going to do right now. I mean, overall, you guys know how I feel, man. BB and Kirby are 1 and 2. They are 1A and 1B in this league until somebody unseats them this year, and I don't think it's going to happen. So, good points. Good points in the chat. There's some big messages in here. Marcus Newsom says Gibbs is going to be the next dynamic running back in the NFL, helping the Lions keep a low turnover rate and cashing in on red zone trips for TDs. Gibbs and St. Brown with a now healthy Laporta keeps the chains going forward. Dude, look, Gibbs is going to knock down a big payday. in the morning show, if you guys don't catch them often, we talk about a lot of these things and how, Gibbs shares the backfield, with Montgomery. And imagine for a moment that if he got the workload that Saquon Barkley did last year, Gibbs would have blown him away. If he would have just hit his average, he would have blown Barkley away if he would have had the workload that Barkley had. And I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not crying for it. I don't want Gibbs to have more of a workload. I don't think the records matter. I mean, they do to these guys, but they don't. To the guys that really matter, or care about the team, this stuff doesn't matter. What matters is that they win football games and then they can hoist that Lombardi trophy. That's what these guys want. That's the ultimate prize for these guys. The individual accolades, as we know, they are meaningless without the Lombardi to make it into the Hall of Fame. You typically need one of two things to happen. You can have lower production and more Super Bowl wins, or a ton of production like Barry Sanders and no Super Bowl wins. Those are the two boats that you get to race in to make it into the Hall of Fame. That's it. So, Christina Maria Rossi, hello, how are you? Appreciate you joining us tonight. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. I'll be back in the morning. We got a packed show already. I just saw Riley's list come across the email, so we have a ton of topics for tomorrow morning. And my dog is calling me. He's saying it's time to go out. So I'll catch you guys back in the morning on the Rise and Grind Morning Show right here, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then we'll be off for the weekend. So thank you for joining me tonight. Appreciate you guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, welcome to the Lion's Den.